My name is Bree, and I'm the founder of Parity, which is an equitable development company based out of West Baltimore that's turning abandoned buildings into affordable homeownership opportunities while doing development without displacement. Last year, I was nominated by Kaiser Permanente to participate in the ICCC Baltimore cohort, and it was a valuable experience. ICCC asked me to pitch in the Gentle Shark Tank pitch competition, for which I won first place. And it gave me the opportunity to tell an audience of probably more than 300 people more about my organization. I'd like to wish all of the 2020 participants of ICCC a fruitful and meaningful experience, and best of luck to the entrepreneurs pitching in this year's Shark Tank competition.
Hi everyone, my name is Raja Abdulaziz. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Invisaware. You may recognize me from last year's ICIC National Conference where I participated in the Shark Tank style pitch. But if you haven't heard of Invisaware, we create jewelry and accessories that are actually safety devices. They look like necklaces, bracelets, keychains, fitness bands, and even scrunchies. But there's actually a button hidden on the back side of every device. If you double press it, it immediately texts 5 people of your choice to let them know you need help. It shares your location and it can optionally contact 911. I wanted to come in and share with you exciting news about the progress we've made since last year's Shark Tank pitch. One exciting thing that actually came out of the event is an investor sitting in the audience ended up reaching out to us and was super interested in what we're doing to help protect women, that they ended up leading our seed round of investments. It was super exciting. We've since expanded our product line with a bunch more designs. We've been experiencing exponential growth. We actually had a TikTok video this past month reach 8 million views, and it feels like sales have not stopped since the second that video aired. It's been super exciting. But we've even expanded the size of our team. We're now double the number of employees that we had this time last year. We've expanded our operations. We have a beautiful 4,000 square foot facility in the city of Lowell. And the pandemic unfortunately showed how much there is a need for women's safety, especially for seniors who are at home alone. People like my grandmother who are 80 sometimes say they'd rather fall and not be able to get up than to be seen wearing an ugly panic button. So our jewelry gives them a lot of peace of mind. We've been super fortunate to help save a lot of lives as well. We had 2 realtors that were showing homes to strangers, and both were almost attacked and were able to use their device to contact police before anything happened. We've seen an increase as well in demand because of the pandemic surrounding domestic violence, and we've had so many survivors reach out sharing how our products have helped them get a lot of peace of mind, knowing that if their abuser did come back, they'd be able to quickly and easily get help. So stories like that are really why we work so hard every day to innovate and to continue to create products that are disguised as everyday accessories. But it's been such an incredible year for us, and we wish you all the best of luck and tremendous success. Thank you for listening to our pitch last year, and feel free to check out our website, www.invisaware.com. Have a wonderful day.
Hi, I'm Anna Marie Cruz, Western Regional Manager here at ICIC, and welcome to the Gentler, Kinder Shark Tank, a series of live pitch presentations from 3 ICCC alumni companies. This is an opportunity for you to get a sneak peek into the process of pitching for capital, as well as understand what factors lead to a yes. Today, you'll hear from 3 companies: Jones Software Corporation from Chicago, Illinois, Maymay from Boston, Massachusetts, and Shaka Tea from Hilo, Hawaii. We are very fortunate to be joined today by a stellar panel of capital experts representing debt and equity. I'd like to introduce to you Stacy Sanchez from CDC Small Business Finance.
Hi, thank you. Pleased to be here.
Jason Stapleton from Bank of America.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Saron Tesfalul from Bain Capital.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And Jonathan Towers from Arcturus Impact Investors.
Good afternoon and great to be here today.
Thank you all for being here. Now, after each presentation, our judges will ask the business owners for clarifying questions and provide advice on how to refine their pitch. So let's get started and welcome the first company from Jones Software Corporation. Welcome, Kevin Jones and Kenya Brooks Jones.
Hello.
Hello, we're Jones Software Corporation.
And we are education
Collaboration.
and innovation.
I'm Kenya Brooks Jones. I'm CIO and co-founder of Jones Software Corporation. A little bit about me is I have spent a lifetime in digital social impact and deriving policy in governments around the world. Also been featured as a Forbes contributor, and I have positioned Jones Software as a leader in ed tech. We have gold partnerships with Microsoft and many more. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin Jones. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Jones Software Corporation. I spent 14 years on Wall Street, and what I've learned is how to look at our business and make this a sustainable, scalable, and predictable business model. I also learned how to leverage margin to maximize profitability. And we learned how to engage civic and social corporate responsibility to build bridges into underserved communities, focusing on education.
So not only do we adhere to the pedagogy of the law, which is ESSA, every student should succeed, it's from the Department of Education. We also focus on educational pain points and we provide solutions. Here's a few.
The Every Student Succeed Act is a movement toward equity and equality for underserved students and high-need scholars. All students should be taught at high academic levels in preparation for successful college and career and development. Local leaders should also innovate technology and innovation.
Yes. So when we look at the problem that derives from how we look at ESSA, it's single low digit and efficacy scores, math literacy in urban and rural US and abroad, our UK market, and looking at the technology and how they use it, whether they're getting full benefit out of what they're purchasing. So we look at the CARES Act as well. It's what a company or an educational institution is purchasing, and are they getting the full benefit out of that purchase? The other thing we look at as the problem is 16% of high schoolers are only introduced to STEM or looking at growth and how we rank as 25 in the industrial nation. So we also look at how we expand and position our English learners.
So our solution, Jones Software Corporation, what we do is we combine standalone LMS systems, learning management systems, virtual live systems, and standalone curriculum. Mm-hmm. And we look at a holistic point of view, one full turnkey solution. We bring in human capital, not only to maximize advocacy and teaching first-year teachers or tenured teachers how to fully maximize the tools of our software. And we also really specialize in an inside and outside curriculum. Mm-hmm. Now that pays tremendous dividends for a growing population of English learners. And so one of our very unique tools is our immersive reader and immersive math.
So our competitive edge is none like we've seen in our lifetime, because our goal was always to prepare students for 21st century learning. Our system integration of virtual classrooms since COVID hit has taken us to the next level, is how we look at technology in the classroom. Content management is something that we own right out. And in our inside class curriculum and how we help supervise and prepare our teachers. And then I'll talk about our mobile hotspot as we become a provider, and then access to our partner network. So we look at our Access Partner Network as our secret sauce. Yes, we partnered with a lot of our tech companies like IBM and our P-Tech, and how we look at our students who are cross-training with their high school diplomas and their AA degrees in some type of computer science. Also being able to intern at companies like IBM for career readiness. We also partner with Microsoft as a gold partner, where we're actually teaching inside the classroom this year as computer science instructors. Some of our partnerships include human capital, and some include how we use our technology effectively in the classroom. We look at efficacy, we look at scoring, which is also our AI-aligned technologies as well. We've also partnered with the London Mathematical Society in our London office to help us with our algorithms, how we write algorithms, and we partner with many universities around the UK to make sure that we're able to pinpoint where a child is deficient from the time they log on to our system. And that's just to name a few, but thank you.
Many of our competitors are Dreambox, iReady, McGraw-Hill. And although all of us have similar software features, McGraw-Hill may have a bell where Jones Software Corporation may have a whistle. What truly differentiates us from our competition is our unique inside, outside curriculum that Kenya alluded to. We also do a great job of being in the trenches, inside of the classroom, working hand in hand with the administrators, the educators, and more importantly, the student scholars. We teach a very robust introduction to computer science, focusing on SNAP and Python out of the University of California at Berkeley.
So we look at our market, it's very robust. There's public, private, Catholic, charter, alternative schools. And then we look at our UK markets, primary, secondary, further in higher education, as well as here in the US as well. The US has over 43,000 school districts. 96,000 are public. Schools that we've acquired in JSC, we serve over 21,000 students to date. Now that number may look low because COVID hit, and we have had to pivot not once, not twice, maybe 8 times since the start of the pandemic. But we pride ourselves on the fact that we are able to accumulate that many students, and we bootstrap.
We've hit a number of milestones throughout Jones Software Corporation, and we can go back to when we incorporated back in 2015. Right off the bat, partnerships with Microsoft. We teach Introduction to Computer Science, again, out in North Dakota. Some other milestones that we have. Kenya has been a partner. I'll let you take that one.
Oh, no,
That's your
please.
special. With the London Mathematical Society back in 2018, I believe.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite is we did a community partnership with the City of Chicago and Chicago Public Schools and Apple, and we brought in our internship program where we call Every Kid Can Code. We were able to take the spotlight of that stage, we call it, because 2 of our interns not only took the title for that prize, but they were able to introduce our new mayor for the City of Chicago.
This was a special milestone, and some of you may have heard of this institution. ICIC kicked off in 2019 for us.
Yes, and I'll just end by saying we have gone through some robust incubators like Y Combinator and Startup School. We were a part of their 2019 summer program.
Again, our key performance indicators. 2019, the education market recorded over $76 billion market share. In 2020, it had accelerated to over $80 billion in market share. And so, again, our sales back in 2019, 420,000 in a little over 6 months. And when we look at our KPI, that equates to probably 0.005 key performance indicators.
Here's our ask.
Okay, we're looking at a 5-year, $2.5 million loan. And so our payback is from the first quadrant, license sales of JSC, Jones Software Corporation, I Like Math. Our second source of payback is from grants. It's from subcontractors with our partners that we spoke of earlier. And the third payback or source of payback is through our influencer network.
Our ask for 2.5 million and what we're going to do with our 2.5 is we're going to geek out our JSC platform. When we say geek out, we have NDA agreements with Microsoft to start infusing Xbox technology. Our export market is really fastly growing. There are 53 sovereign countries under the UK umbrella, and also job creation. Hire as many talented people as we can that can come in, not only train with us, an internship with us, but learn the JSC way, as we love to say, and make this an amazing company as we began 5 years ago. Our many thanks for allowing us to share a little bit about our company. If you have any questions or clarifications, we're definitely here and open for your ask.
And thank you for your time.
That was great. Thank you so much, Kevin and Kenya. I am so eager to hear from our judges, especially because it seems that there's a great opportunity here from both debt and equity. In addition, there's a social impact piece that is really interesting. So I'll turn it over to our first judge, Stacy Sanchez.
I was very impressed. I can tell you really have your heart into this business. It's very important. I'm
Thank
a little,
you.
just want to look for some clarification on the actual start date of the company and then the date that you began earning revenues. If you could just clarify that for me, please.
Absolutely. I want to go back because he started at Merrill Lynch. We were mentors, and this is over 10 years ago, and he had a really bad version of what we're doing now. I call it the Wozniak version. I'm Steve Jobs.
Our first MVP.
So we had, it was a really, but it was working. And so that's what really emptied us to make this into a business, because even as bad as that product was, we were in the heart of city of Gary, Indiana, but the light was clicking. We were getting kids to pay attention, getting kids to come to class. When our mentor days, it went from 10 in the office when we started to no one was in the office on our mentor days. So that's really what started Jones Software. It was just a love for the community that Kevin had when he was at Merrill Lynch. And then we decided in 2015 that we have something and we should turn this into a business. So we joined 1871 here in Chicago, and 2015 is when we incorporated.
And 2016 is when we obtained our first sale from a licensed software contract.
Correct.
Jason, what about yourself?
I think it was a wonderful pitch, and you guys are very, very passionate about what you do. And I'm glad that you stuck with it, even though the first go around was, what it was. So that's great.
Can we be honest, Jason? Our second iteration failed too. Really, really bad.
No problem. It happens. You keep doing it until you get it right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yes.
And that's what you're doing. My question for you is, I know 2020 is such a crazy year with COVID happening and everything. It kind of impacted every business. But what were you guys originally projecting for 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so our original projection, like I was mentioning, it was to increase sales by 20% over 2019. And so 2019, our revenue was $420,000. And so do the math, that's about $510,000 as a projection. We really made a lot of inroads, a lot of partnership as far as certifications, not only state, but federal as well.
how well was the partnership that you guys have with Chicago Public Schools? Because I know that's one of the third largest school districts in the nation. So if you can get it right with them, I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
can.
So we have a very unique business model. We show up first.
Mhm.
So we may spend 2-3 years mentoring or volunteering, packing lunches, whatever the school district needs, so we can get a full understanding on where our tools will fit best. So what our first school at CPS is Sarah E. Good, and that's our IBM school. So our relationship is very solid. We have the blessing of the entire STEM department and STEM director. We've now moved into the early college tier department. Most of the district leaders know us by name. And because most of our staff go through FBI background checks, they call us first when they need any type of service. And so we've just moved into a second tier at Whitney Young High School. So the relationship has begun to make the inroads where we're starting to get RFIs and RFQs versus RFPs requests.
Saron, what questions do you have?
Yeah, first off, I agree with Stacy and Jason. Great job on your presentation. It's impressive, the business you built, and I think it's a testament, just given all the partnerships that you guys have been able to establish with world-class companies. I think that's very impressive. I guess I had two questions. My first question was, could you just explain to us the economic model? How are you guys typically charging the schools? Or how are you charging? Is it by student? Could you just walk us through the illustrative economics of one of your customer relationships?
Yeah, that's a great question. We market a licensed product, and we, when we sit down and speak with the leaders in a particular school district, it's, if you break it down per cost per student, you're looking at probably $21 per year. Or 11 cents a day, and there's typically 210 days in the school year, which includes the summer session. And so for a typical district of 10 schools, we're looking at about $50,000 per school over that, times 10 schools. And so although I just broke down, if you look at it on a cost per student, in many school districts, the population per school varies so much. A primary school may have 275 students, where that high school has probably 1,800 students. And so to make it more feasible, economic for a school, we just give unlimited licenses per individual schools, and we sort of cap our costs at $50,000 per school.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
I love to see a company that does good for its local community, and I also love to see companies that make good products that are inherently good. I mean, a lot of the companies that we see in the impact space, they do one or they do the other really well. Yeah, you're just making widgets, but you're creating quality jobs in a low-income community. What I love here is that you've really threaded the needle in terms of doing both together in one company, and clearly you have a lot of passion and drive to make this vision a reality. Had two questions, and the first was, when you say you target a cap per school of $50,000, if you go to a school district that has one school, or you go to a school district that has 20 schools, what's the cost difference to you? Is this just software where it's like, well, I'm just going to send out, 20 logins and you can come in and use our product, or is there a marginal cost per school launch to your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. And earlier during my introduction, being on Wall Street, understanding how to maximize margin. And so our cost of goods sold is about 8%. And so we don't have an enormous amount of overhead nor inventory. Our repeatable model is software, where schools, once they sign up, we work with the IT, and we clone what we have to each and every school. We do a phenomenal job of keeping costs down.
Yeah, and then this. Thank you, and I mean that's obviously an attractive software-like business model that would probably make your growth simpler on a number of levels. That the second question is, what pocket is paying for this? I mean, school districts have never been flush with cash. Budgets are tighter now than ever. Tried to solve everything from keeping teachers employed, keeping teachers healthy, and making sure that kids have connectivity. Where is this drawing from?
Yes, another excellent question. What schools have an annual budget, and that budget comes from state and a lot of federal dollars. Great question. And so we're actually bringing the cost per student down. Right now, schools are paying so much out of their budget. For example, Chicago Public Schools paid over $45 million per year for a particular software, and it wasn't really providing the necessary solution for those guys. And so they have a budget each and every year. Chicago Public Schools annual budget is in excess of $7 billion. And so the right solution when it comes to software is pretty much a drop in the bucket when we come there and we provide them a solution that's economically feasible.
And what's the, like you mentioned that, you go into some schools and they're behind in terms of their learning. And when they're introduced to your software, like what is the actual rate of increase to get their skill set to the level that where they need to be or above?
Your affluent communities, let's just say if math efficacy scores and literacy is in the 70 percentile, what you're faced with is when you turn a camera over to a Chicago South Side environment, the efficacy scores, not only in reading, literacy, but math are in the low single digits. Gary School Corporation, the math efficacy scores were probably about 2 or 3% at the highest. And so we work hand in hand. We show up. That's what makes us different. And over time, we look at how growth and development has occurred through our dashboard, through metrics, real-time data, and that's the model that we incorporate.
Can I just ask one more question about the technology? You guys mentioned that you license a lot of the technology today, but the $2.5 million you're raising is to go towards geeking out some of that technology. Could you just describe how you guys create these software, or how you're developing that with partners, and just give a little bit more color and clarity there about how is that designed and what would you actually use the $2.5 million for on the product?
What's happening now is students are able to log on with our AI technology, what we call quantitative thinking. And so our quantitative measures work very well. And they're able to do their assessments. All of the curriculum is done. The computer science is done. The logons is done. But again, we need a real virtual classroom when we say what we'll do with this money. A real virtual classroom, meaning we're partnering with WebEx right now. We're partnering with Zoom. We want to develop our own Go Live function because we are FERPA and COPA compliant. So we want to be responsible for our own sourcing. So when we say geek out, like I am total science nerd geek, and I know these things are able, but it costs money. And we've kind of taken the ball as far as we can, as far as bootstrap. We can hire some of the biggest and brightest and tech guys maybe to start some of this work, but we have to pay them because we do compete with a Google or a Microsoft when we're looking for data analysts. So we have to be able to give competitive salaries.
At 2.5 million that you're requesting, I'm just assuming based on the numbers that you're giving me that we wouldn't see that based on 2019's tax returns or the current financials that the business would be able to show debt service coverage for that type of a loan amount. So in
No.
your projections, how long is it going to take before the company is able to show debt service for that type of a loan? How many school districts would you have to convert to your product in order to meet that debt service coverage requirement?
Great question. Because we're dealing with not only Chicago Public Schools, we're also working with Atlanta Public Schools. We made inroads in partnership with the state of Illinois to bridge our product and services overseas. And so 2021 is lining up quite nicely for us.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking at Chicago Public Schools has over 600 individual schools. And so if we're looking at 25% of those 600 schools, that's
That
going
would cover
to,
that would service the debt?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
absolutely.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that your projections are showing that the company will sell enough districts on the product that by year end 2021, you'll be servicing this 2.5 million in debt?
That is correct.
Yes, ma'am.
How long does it take to geek out the software that it's ready? How does that?
Well, again,
conflict with
we pride ourselves on being like a Facebook or a LinkedIn company. Every day the kids wake up, they'll see new enhancements. We will probably never stop enhancing and moving forward with how we geek out the software.
I guess I'm a lender, and so my first concern is on the debt service coverage, in that this is a projections-based loan, and while I would prefer to see you ask for a smaller amount to start. You talked about bootstrapping, and from my perspective, I encourage borrowers not to attempt to borrow everything they're going to need for the rest of the company's life, so to speak. That you go in and ask for what you can service, because the first loan payment's due in 30 days from receipt of the funds. What's going to take you to that next level? And then does that put you in a position to go out and get better terms on your financing? You know, people have to come to me now because they can't get loans, projections-based loans from lenders. While COVID may be working to your advantage, it's also working to your disadvantage in your effort to obtain debt financing, because the uncertainty in the market has created situations where financial institutions have just really tightened up on their willingness to extend credit. And so I guess my advice to you would be, how much do you need to borrow this much? Can you look at borrowing a smaller amount and making progress to put yourself in a position to go out and either obtain equity and or additional debt at a better terms and conditions than you might be able to get in the current marketplace?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, how about yourself?
Yeah, I would echo what Stacy had said as well, because we were just starting to get into the numbers conversation. Because when I looked at your ask of 2.5 million, you know, we stretched that over just the standard of 5 years. It's about $500,000 that you have to service every single year. And, you know, given that most of your ask and need is going to go towards software and equipment, then normally, you know, banks typically like to see that paid off in a much quicker time, because, you know, the assets are pretty much intangible. You know, there's nothing that we can really collect on. So with that, you're looking at a debt service to increase, you know, to about 833,000 a year. So your EBITDA has to be able to, you know, support that. So your debt service is basically, you know, we want to see you at least have 1.25 times the amount of coverage on there.
Saron, what questions do you have?
Yes. So first off, thank you guys for presenting today. I think you guys obviously have a lot of passion and vision. Look, I invest on the equity side, and so oftentimes if you can sell your vision, what you want to do with the capital, you'll need to find sometimes investors that are willing to take more risk. Because I agree with Stacy and Jason that if you're going to ask for this much capital on the debt side, they're going to expect debt servicing. But if you can paint the vision for somebody on the equity side, you'll have to give up some ownership in your business, and that's a trade-off you'll have to make, but that may be something to consider. And then the only other piece of feedback I just wanted to share, which was related to one of my earlier questions, is on this depth versus breadth question. If you can't get the full amount of capital you want today, are there certain features to the software you can invest in now, sell that to more schools, and you'll get more money, especially because you have very little marginal cost each time. And that may be a way for you to show that traction and get that income in the door. So that way you can raise capital at a better rate as you scale the business. And so that may be just something else to consider. But again, really impressive partnerships. And I think, the time is now in the education technology space. Everyone's having to figure it out. And so I think you guys also have a great opportunity here. So look forward to hearing more about your success in the future.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, Jonathan.
Great. And thank you again for a great presentation. It was well thought out and very well presented. I'm going to go back to one of my first comments, which was a compliment, saying you've really done a nice job of threading the needle here, creating a company that does something really vital for the community, and it's also creating jobs in that community. And I think given how well you've done on that, you might be barking up the wrong tree going to investment firms and banks looking for that capital when better money is available. I'm talking about grants, which, unlike a loan, a grant is money that you don't have to pay back, or other kind of program financing. I think doing a new market tax credit loan, as opposed to taking the full new market tax credit transaction, which is very expensive, but getting an NMTC loan for a company like this, where you'd get 7 years low interest, interest-only payments, something like that could be more favorable. If it winds up being too much brain damage, or you don't have time, or it's just not working, then great. I mean, I think there's probably an ability to get an SBA loan to finance this kind of work. Giving up a third of your company for some equity right now, and I'm just spitballing numbers here, I don't know that you need to do that, and frankly, you might be cutting yourself short. If you have the time, I would say secure the grant funding, secure federal NMTC, secure other kinds of soft money first, and then go raise that equity once you've developed your revenue and developed your product a little further along, and you will keep much more of the pie for yourselves and your employees, and be in a much better position to guide your destiny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Appreciate that, Jonathan.
Well, thank you all, judges, and thank you, Kevin and Kenya. We really appreciate your presentation. Fantastic job, and that concludes our first pitch.